Absolutely, and I've always wondered, that we are talking of capital, funding, so and so forth, and I always wonder that all this perhaps can be achieved, reverse mortgage, get the finance capital in, but what are we going to do with the human capital? That's something which has always struck me, that this is something we need to, whether it's a pipeline or it's a platform, but I don't know how we're going to address that, and the numbers are daunting. If we have to reach what is the, let us say, the projection by all of us here to reach that particular level of penetration of 1.3 to 6 perhaps, we will get the funding to do that, but do we have the human capital? And coincidentally, I just came across an Economic Times article today, 2 days back actually, job opportunities and employability shaping India's workforce. Now this says that a survey was done, and it says here that in the next decade, 24.8% of the workforce will go overseas. And that is what is the question that we need to address. And actually, who are we to come between the aspirations of the youth? We cannot. If we can make the sector workable, aspirational, that's only when we'll be able to keep the workforce with us. I'll very quickly tell you, Dr. Karthik, that I have been fortunate as chair of Common Age to travel across many, many countries across the Commonwealth. And believe you me, friends, in each and every country and each and every community in that country, be it Samoa, be it Auckland, be it Adelaide, Canberra, anywhere, you name it, there are Indians working there in the senior living sector. I only go in senior living and assisted living sector and dementia. I only work pro bono in the senior living space. I don't do anything else. So everywhere I see Indians. And that's when I keep wondering what's going to happen to my country when we need them back here. And how are we going to address that situation? And the conversion rate, as we discussed about remittance overseas, it's too attractive. Imagine, you pay somebody over here a maximum of perhaps 300 pounds per month, while over there it's 100 pounds per day. So how do you match that? So we came across this global, so we are doing something which is something which I would like to share with you, friends, is we are part of a global like-minded force which we have come together globally, most of the countries, and we are trying to address this, what is called the ethical migration of workforce. I'm part of that, and I like to coin acronyms like ASLI, Nakli Ka Asli, so Association of Senior Living India. So I have coined this acronym for this group called Elder Care, ELDER Care. It's educate, so you educate the caregiver, learn, he or she interns with a community in India, but then only he or she can demonstrate the D of the elder by internship and the certification course that any training institute can give, or skill development institute can give. E is earn. And then he or she has interned for 2 years in India. He or she goes overseas to earn. And the R is return. So it's elder care. Earn, learn, educate, learn, demonstrate, earn, and return. And this is where we are working, along with the communities, which are the host communities across the seas, and our providing training centers here, and governmental intervention, that it's limited time that they go there and they return, and we send somebody else. So we at least capture the workforce. And when they return with that experience, they have an aspirational line of sight, because they are returning to a country back after some time, after 5 years, by which the country has grown, and there is more managerial positions available for them to be absorbed in. I have my colleague here, Femida Shamam, who's Vice Chair of Common Age. She started off as a social worker in the organization, and today she's the CEO of that organization, which takes care of 5,500 elders. So this can happen, but we need to create the ecosystem. I hope I've answered that.